Donald Trump, whose passion for white nationalism knows no bounds, is trying to make a move in Texas to silence the voices of people of color. It's a move being described as a scheme and involves a co-conspirator in Governor Greg Abbott. But firecracker Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett isn't having it, and I have all the details, including the fiery gauntlet she just laid down, coming up next. As background for this story, please have a look at this report that reveals how Trump's own Justice Department is in on the scheme, and then I'll share the choice words the always unfiltered representative had for the Trump-Abbott cabal and the action House leaders are taking to thwart the race-based plot.
And when it comes to redistricting, President Trump wants state lawmakers to redraw the state's congressional districts to increase the number of Republican seats by as many as 5. The governor cited a letter from the U.S. Justice Department that told him that the state had 4, quote, unconstitutional race-based congressional districts, and it said they needed to be corrected. They include 4 seats held by Democrats, Districts 9, 18, and 29 in the Houston area, and North Texas, District 33 by Congressman Mark Vesey. We spoke one-on-one with Vesey, and he told me this will likely impact every congressional district in Texas.
I think that is the stupidest memo that I've ever seen from the DOJ. And I've been in politics now for a while. I was a congressional staffer. I served 8 years in the state legislature. This is my 7th term in Congress. That was the dumbest memo I've ever heard. I think that is clearly intended to discriminate against communities like the ones that I represent in Dallas and Fort Worth that are largely, Hispanic and Black. The same with the ones in Houston. I'm sure that the memo was probably meant to help Greg Abbott out somehow, so he would have an excuse to call this. But I think that it's disgusting that you would call a special session on the same call to deal with the devastating floods that have impacted Central Texas.
Have you had conversations since this agenda item was released with other members of Congress, the Democrats?
Everybody's talking about this, but I'll be 100% with you, Jack. The districts that were named were just 4 districts that were named. The Republicans want to redraw this entire map. The rumors that we're hearing in Washington, D.C. Is that Trump wants to create 4 or 5 new Republican congressional districts. The districts that they chose really at the end of the day won't mean that much in the scheme of things, because this is all about completely redrawing this entire map.
So that was Representative Vesey fighting the good fight, but wait, there's more, much more. What if there was a known Trump and Abbott agitator who's always ready to brawl and call out the racism? Enter Jasmine Crockett.
Yeah, so first of all, it hasn't quite been said clearly that Texas has always been found to be intentionally discriminatory. And so I want y'all to understand the makeup of my state. The state is a majority minority state. And what this legislature historically has done is what they plan to do again, is to dilute the voices of people of color in order to make sure that they can get to where they're trying to go. We saw this Department of Justice decided to put out a letter, and what did they do? We only have 4 seats that are represented by Black folk, where the vast majority of the people that get to decide who they have represent them are Black. They decided to attack 3 of the 4 seats that we have in the state. They decided to go after a Latina. They are specifically deciding to splinter the communities of common interest, as well as just blatantly say we are going to dilute minority voices. So we know that the courts, ever since we've had a Voting Rights Act, have always found this state to be intentionally discriminatory. That is what they are going to do. So I need people of color to understand that the scheme of the Republicans has consistently been to make sure that they mute our voices so that they can go ahead and have an oversized say in this. So I fully anticipate that's exactly where they're going with this map. It's the only way to do it. We didn't understand how we got to the map that they gave us last time, because that state was grown by 95% people of color. They went out of their way to make sure that we got 0 new seats for people of color. So that's exactly what they're going to do this time.
Let's take inventory. Trump has weaponized the Department of Homeland Security to round up brown people and put them in a modern-day concentration camp called Alligator Alcatraz. He is dismantling the Department of Education that, to a large extent, serves low-income minorities and enforces anti-discrimination policies. And now he has weaponized the DOJ to help gerrymander Texas to silence black and brown voters and rig future elections. Do you see a pattern? This Texas scheme is not a one-off. It's part of a disturbing pattern of racism within his authoritarian agenda. Trump isn't just flirting with white nationalism, he is governing by it. But the resistance is real. Jasmine Crockett is calling it out loud and clear, refusing to let it be just another Trump thing that slides under the radar while he floods the zone with chaos. And this shocking gerrymandering news isn't just about one state. It's a warning shot for the nation. Because if they can rig democracy in Texas, they'll try to do it everywhere. But Democrats are pledging to push back aggressively, and I'll give Hakeem Jeffries the final word on what that looks like.
Donald Trump, House Republicans here in Washington, and Governor Abbott are conspiring to rig the Texas congressional map as part of an effort to disenfranchise millions of people in Texas. In this country, public servants should earn the votes of the people that they hope to represent. What Republicans are trying to do in Texas is to have politicians choose their voters and undermine free and fair elections. And on behalf of the people of the state of Texas, Democrats are going to push back aggressively because it's the right thing to do to make sure that the voices of the people of Texas and those voices alone will choose during this critically important time here in the United States of America who should represent them. Who will stand up for their interests? Who will protect their health care? Who will make sure that we can lower the high cost of living in the United States of America? Those choices should be made by the voters in Texas alone, not Donald Trump, Mike Johnson, Governor Abbott, or MAGA extremists who want to manipulate the election, which will have an adverse impact on the quality of life of the people of Texas. We are unified. I'm thankful for the leadership of the members of the Texas delegation who are fighting on behalf of their constituents and every single resident in the great state of Texas.